A video went viral last month. A woman in her early 30s is sitting on her couch holding her phone, scrolling through photos. She stops at a picture of her ex-boyfriend. She looks at the camera and says,
We dated for 4 years. He proposed. I said yes. And then 6 months before the wedding, he called it off. Just called it off. He said he couldn't do it. I asked him why. He said, I don't think marriage is for me. 4 years. And that's all he said.
That video has over 8 million views. The comments are full of women sharing similar stories, and full of men saying they understand exactly why he walked away. This isn't about one man who got cold feet. This is about millions of men who have looked at marriage and decided it's not worth the risk. Let's look at the numbers that explain why. In 1970, nearly 90% of Americans had been married by age 30. Today, that number is under 40%. But here's what's interesting. When researchers ask young men if they want to get married someday, the majority still say yes. They want partnership. They want family. They're just not convinced that modern marriage is worth what it costs them. A 2025 study from the Institute for Family Studies asked single men why they weren't pursuing relationships. The top answer wasn't, I don't want commitment. It was, I don't see what I get out of it that makes the risk worth taking. This is the calculation men are doing, not emotional. Practical, what am I giving, what am I getting? And for more and more men, the equation doesn't balance. I want to tell you about a man named Mike. He's 38, lives in Ohio, works in manufacturing. He was engaged once. They were together for 5 years. He paid for the ring. He paid for the wedding deposit. He helped raise her 2 kids from a previous relationship, and 6 weeks before the wedding, she told him she wasn't sure. A week later, she moved out. No warning, no counseling. Just gone. Mike told me, I gave 5 years of my life to that woman. I loved her kids like they were my own, and she walked away like I was nothing. Like those years didn't matter. I'm not doing that again. I'm not giving someone that much of myself just to be thrown away. Mike hasn't dated in 2 years. He's not bitter. He's not angry. He just doesn't trust the institution anymore. This is the quiet truth that nobody wants to admit. Men aren't afraid of commitment. They're afraid of committing to someone who won't commit back. They're afraid of investing years of their life only to be told it wasn't enough. A 2024 study from the American Psychological Association found that men in heterosexual relationships report significantly lower levels of emotional support than women do in the same relationships. Men are expected to be the rock. They're expected to hold it together. And when they do break down, they're often met with confusion or disappointment. So they learn to stop breaking down. They learn to handle things alone. This is what men see when they look at marriage. They see a contract where they're expected to provide, to protect, to perform. And they see that if things go wrong, the consequences can be devastating. Let's talk about the legal side of this. A 2026 survey by a family law organization found that 70% of men who had been through a divorce said they would not marry again. When asked why, the most common answer wasn't about losing half their assets. It was about losing access to their children. A 35-year-old man in Denver told me about his friend Mark. Mark got married at 28, had 2 kids, worked his ass off to support his family, and his wife decided she wasn't happy and filed for divorce. Mark fought for joint custody. He spent $40,000 on lawyers. In the end, he got his kids every other weekend. He sees them 6 days a month. 6 days. Mark told his friend, I did everything right. I was a good husband. I was a good father. And now I have to beg to see my own children. If that can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. This is not a rare story. Men watch their friends go through this. They watch their brothers, their coworkers, their neighbors, and they think, if love ends this way, maybe I'm better off not starting. There's a cultural shift happening that nobody is talking about. For the first time in American history, women are earning more. Women are more educated. Women are more independent. That's a good thing. But it's created a situation where men don't know what their role is anymore. If a woman doesn't need a man to provide, if she doesn't need him to protect, if she doesn't need him to make her life easier, then what is he supposed to bring to the table? A 29-year-old man in Philadelphia told me, I don't know what I'm supposed to be anymore. I was raised to be a provider. That's what my dad did. That's what his dad did. Now I'm told that's outdated, that women don't need providers. So, okay, what do they need? Emotional support? I try. But then I'm told I'm not doing it right. Connection? I try to connect. But then I'm told I'm too much or not enough. I'm tired of trying to figure out a role that nobody can define. This is the deeper truth. Men aren't walking away because they don't want love. They're walking away because they no longer understand what they're supposed to offer. And if they don't know what they're supposed to offer, they don't know if they're good enough. And if they don't know if they're good enough, they stop trying. A 2025 study from the Pew Research Center found that among adults who are not in a relationship, men are significantly more likely than women to say they're not looking for anything right now. Not because they're happy alone, but because they've concluded that the effort required to find a partner isn't worth the return they expect to get. Let me give you a concrete example. A 33-year-old man in Seattle told me he spends his weekends hiking, playing guitar, and hanging out with his friends. He's happy. He's peaceful. He tried dating for years. He spent thousands of dollars. He got nowhere. He said, "I'm not bitter. I'm just practical. My weekends are good. My life is peaceful. Why would I trade that for a world of rejection and confusion? The reward doesn't match the risk." He's not wrong. When men look at marriage in 2026, they see a system where the risks are high and the guarantees are low. They see a 50% divorce rate. They see friends who lost their homes, their savings, their kids. They see a legal system they perceive as biased, and they ask themselves, what am I getting in return? The upside used to be clear. A partner, a family, a home, a shared life. But those things don't look the same anymore. Marriage is riskier than ever. Divorce rates are high. The legal system is seen as biased against men. And the cultural narrative around men has become increasingly negative. I'm not saying men are blameless. I'm not saying women are wrong for wanting more. What I'm saying is that there's a logic to why men stop marrying. It's not random. It's not a phase. It's a response to the incentives they see in front of them. A 31-year-old man in Nashville put it best. He said, "I'm not against marriage. I'm against signing a contract that says I give everything and if it fails, I lose everything. That's not love, that's a bad business deal. I want love. But I want it to be fair, and right now it doesn't feel fair." That's what stopped marrying looks like. Not anger, not bitterness, just a quiet decision that the risks outweigh the rewards. A decision to protect what they have instead of gambling on what they might lose. If you're a man watching this and you've decided marriage isn't for you, I see you. You're not broken. You're not afraid of commitment. You just did the math and the math didn't work. If you're a woman watching this and you're wondering why men aren't proposing like they used to, now you know. They're not hiding. They're not playing games, they're just somewhere else, living their lives, waiting to see if anything worth coming back for shows up. And until something changes, they're going to stay right where they are. This is Men Decoded, where we don't blame men, don't shame women, and don't avoid the truth. We decode it.